When the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia in 1979, my family fled to Thailand. On the way there, we were robbed 4 times. They left us with nothing but the clothes on our backs. We slept on the ground and were without food for a month before the Red Cross came to our rescue. This is a story of a Vietnamese refugee named Sue. Sue is one of over 60 million refugees. These refugees are fleeing from the social disasters that the affirmative has outlined, such as war and genocide. And the American organizations in the U.S., such as the Red Cross and the American Army, are giving these people the opportunity to live. For people like Sue, we believe that we negate the resolution, resolve that the United States federal government should significantly reduce aid given to foreign countries after disasters. Now, according to the CIA World Factbook, the United States of America has the world's largest gross domestic product, or GDP. Now, for those of you who don't know, GDP is the market value of all goods and services offered by a country in one given year. It is used as the measure of value of a given country. In 2010, the latest GDP numbers, America's GDP was $14.5 trillion. The closest country behind us is China, who has a whopping $6 trillion. This shows that we have over double the largest economy in the world. As all of us have learned in 10th grade history, we are a capitalist economy, as well as, in recent years, a more consumer-based economy, according to BusinessDictionary.com. This means that we rely on other countries to make the majority of the products that we buy and sell to run our economy. Let me repeat this. We rely on other countries to provide the products that we trade around in order to make our economy run, and keep it at that great $14.5 trillion mark. Therefore, it is in our best interest to make sure that all countries that export to the United States, which is pretty much every country, is in good enough health to provide us with goods to buy and sell. A disaster, by our definition, would interrupt the supply of goods from these countries to the United States, and therefore slow down the economic recovery that has been brought up by the affirmative. Take the crisis in Libya, a social disaster that is going on right now. For those of you who don't know, Libya is a large oil-producing country, and as America addicts of fossil fuels, we go through a lot of oil. So, because of the strife and war going on in Libya without American aid, or with very minimal American aid, the price of gas has risen dramatically, almost $4 a gallon if you look at the Cumberland farms down the street. And this means that all shipping, all production costs will now rise because of this social disaster. And so it is in our best interest to mitigate this disaster as much as possible by providing aid through to the country. Now, in addition to importing goods, we also export some goods. We produce aircraft, semiconductors, and industrial chemicals. Now, if America wants to continue to export these things, it needs a market in other countries. If a country is trying to rebuild after a disaster, especially a social disaster, then its attention is on rebuilding it on its infrastructure and its basic support, rather than importing American goods. This means that less time in a country is spent rebuilding. The less time a country is spent rebuilding after a disaster, the faster it will reopen itself to American imports. Now, the way to quicken the rebuilding process is to provide aid to these countries. Therefore, providing aid to foreign countries will allow us to grow our economy and get us out of the recession by speeding up the recovery process, and by doing so, reopening previously closed markets to American exporters. Finally, we come to the morality issue that the affirmative would have the United States, with the world's largest economy, withhold aid to starving refugees around the world. Just take a look at these people. It's a mass grave. These people are going through hell, and the affirmative does not want to help them. The affirmative wants to withhold life from people going through a disaster. By our definition, this means that a man who works in a factory all day, and one day is forced out by a roving militia, is forced to eat spoiling food and unclean water because of this militia. Now, the affirmative does not want to provide these basic necessities to that person who never did anything wrong. They would instead have us sit on our big pile of money and just sit in our castle. Put yourselves in their shoes. Would you want aid if there was a war in your home tonight? Or would you rather have the haves keep from the have-nots? Thank you. I'm going negative.